Hello, my name is Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness and leadership coach. The main core of my work is called Common Sense Self-Mastery. Have you ever wondered whether or not you should take steroids or whether someone else should take steroids? I know that in the current climate, it's a little less popular, I think, to see bodybuilding as rampant as it was in the 70s or the late 90s and early 2000s. But still, I mean, we saw people like Lance Armstrong take steroids for maximizing performance. The general scope as to where steroids came into the picture, into the climate of the American consciousness, was during the Soviet Union, or the Iron Curtain. These like Russians or so were out wanting to win the United States in the Olympics. Now, through their desire to dominate, their science led them to discover anabolic steroids at some point, and they entered the competitive landscape. Now, the primary reason that steroids have been noted to be illegal is for the sheer fact that people can cheat in sports and achieve great success in them. And for example, Lance Armstrong. If you take a moment to think about what happened to Lance, he was stripped of his title, 7 titles, Tour de France. It's like he was a legend. He was a legend. He was a living, walking legend on earth. To have it won those 7 titles, and they stripped him of those titles to show that this man does not deserve that because of his doping scandals and stuff. Okay. And now, getting back to whether you should take steroids or not, the struggle to consider this is common, because who doesn't want lower body fat, more muscle, being leaner? I mean, everything that people want can be obtained by the use of steroids. The main thing I think of to look at as to why not to is 3 things. One is the side effects. Okay, so when it's all said and done, do you want the side effects? So look at the side effects, which could be acne, it could be growing female, tissue in the breasts. It could be things like this that are very controversial. So I don't want to get into the side effects too much. A shrinkage of the testicles, things like this. So again, the external effects on the actual muscle tissue are very coveted. They are the holy grail of results, right? Again, lower body fat, more energy, more muscle, faster, stronger, healing better. I mean, steroids do work. That's kind of the problem. If you think about how ridiculous that sounds, right? Steroids do work. I think that the first thing to look at as to why not to take them is side effects. Think about that alone. So if you don't want those side effects, stay away from them. 2 is the cost. They are pretty costly. And then if you want to continue using steroids, right? Consider that you're going to pay a lot of money for that. And if you're not paying that money for those steroids, your gains will go down the tube virtually. So, if you want to split hairs about it, the entire gains of it won't go down the tube. It's not like a complete loss, I'm sure, but for the most part, you're not going to be as hard and dense as you were. You're not going to have. So again, the cost. And then the third reason you could say is ethics. And I left that for number 3. Someone would put that number 1. But the reason I put it at number 3 is, what if you're not competing against anybody? Well, is it really unethical? So ethics is based upon, is the sport that you're playing, are they against the use of steroids? If they are, they're probably going to test you, and you're going to be your reputation is going to go down the toilet when you are caught using them. So the reputation and ethics go hand in hand. You could be banned from your sport that you love. So the ethics is a big thing, but say they aren't banned in your sport. Well, then is it really unethical, right? Does that make sense? It comes down to the first two, which is the side effects and the cost. Because if we could take away side effects, and let's just say they were as cheap as multivitamins for the sake of argument, let's just say they were as cheap as vitamins. So we'd remove cost, okay? So you could keep this up for a long term. And let's just say you weren't breaking any rules, okay? Well then, or you weren't unethical about anything, well then that would only leave side effects, wouldn't it? I mean, think about it. Those are the primary reasons. And then legality, well, again, the legality came in primarily for the fact that it's an advantage in sports. Again, the ethics. Having smaller testicles isn't exactly why they made it such a high level. I think they put them on the class with cocaine or something like this. So again, it wasn't that. That wasn't the reason they did it. Okay, it was primarily the ethics as far as in the sports arena. Okay, because again, when you're playing, let's say in NBA or something like that, if these people are playing for millions of dollars, it's not just, we're not talking about a hot dog here. I mean, we're talking about small islands of value for each game. These are million-dollar players, multi-million-dollar players. So I myself do not use steroids. Maybe when I am older, let's say in my 50s, 60s, and if there was a doctor involved for testosterone therapy, I'm not against that. Again, the side effects, the cost, and cost, and ethics. So it wouldn't be unethical. And if I liked the cost, okay, then just leave side effects. So then that's why it's my biggest win in this discussion is just that, I know where I stand. And ultimately, you have to make a decision where you stand in this subject. And you probably will. I do think, though, that you'll find my 3 reasons to be pretty valid. And say you're not in a sport, say you just want to be someone in great shape or have your own gains for your own self, you're primarily going to be looking at cost and side effects. Those are your 2 main metrics when you remove. And the side effects could be something like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, which will kill you. Sometimes people that are, in their 50s or 60s have to have an open heart surgery in their 50s or 60s because of steroid use, okay? So it's not really like a yawn at it. As you watch this video, you could be 21 and you're like, that's so far away from here. But the time will come, and life goes by really fast. And so keep this in mind, okay? And so in the past, when steroids first came into the scene, they were looked upon more like a wow. We had Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's been rumored and said that he had a surgery done because of his past steroid use. Okay, so we had Arnold Schwarzenegger. We had a lot of steroids that were being touted as this really cool thing, the new solution, the new thing, right? But now, we know that they're pretty unsophisticated in terms of the side effects. When it all comes down to it, I think actually the key reason most people don't take them, the number 1 reason, is side effects, and with that, the legality issues. People don't want to go to jail for possessing that. Okay, so legalities and side effects actually are the number 1 reason I think people do not take steroids. Because, like I said, I don't think that someone's going to dislike more muscle, less body fat, more energy, younger feeling, younger just vitality. Obviously people are going to want that. So it's just going to come down to side effects and legalities. So the solution, when it comes down to it, to get gains, and you could look at pro hormones as a sort of and I've taken pro hormones, a lot of pro hormones in my time. So pro hormones are a nice medium, which is going to not be as strong and potent as a pharmaceutical grade chemical that you inject. So pro hormones are a happy medium you want to look into, of course. But other than that, you can go natural like myself. I just use Advocare supplements. I use nighttime recovery. I use vitamin D. I use pre-workouts. I use like special glutamines. I use Arginine Extreme again. And this isn't as expensive as steroids, and there's no side effects to this. So again, and I get most of the effects. It isn't as gonna be exaggerated and like off the charts as gonna be steroids again, because one is illegal, one is legal, right? So keep that in mind. But there are really cool supplements on the market today that will do a lot of the job steroids will without the side effects. In this particular subject, the most common thing I see that people do is that I feel is incorrect is create a judgment or a world of judgment. Let's say someone is, you know, let's say someone's not in a competitive sport and they're taking anabolics. You know, there's so much of a stigma against them taking that, you know, it's pretty obvious sometimes who's taking steroids. But to, you know, judge them or cast your judgment on them or hate them or gossip about them, I think that's kind of the main problem with steroids. You know, there is a dark side to them that isn't talked about either. You know, like roid rage and stuff like that. Is that true? I believe that it can be true. You know, I believe it can be true. But you know, it's something that's. I think it's going to require more from us as a society, and I think that's in the horizon. You know, if anything, start this discussion now. Comment below and start the discussion below as to what you think. Like I said, I myself don't take them because of my 3 reasons, and those are the main 3 reasons. For me, again, it comes down to side effects and costs, because I wouldn't be breaking any rules or anything per se, but the ethics I find is this, that I train people and they will sometimes have asked me in the past, what can I take? And I can't tell them to take something. And to be ethical and have integrity within myself, I don't want to be taking steroids and telling them that I don't. So there would be an ethical line there where like I'm lying to them that I don't. Make sense? It would be a lie. So that is where my ethics comes from. The integrity of saying, well, I don't take them, so you don't have to, okay? So I do train people, okay? And then, so I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. I mean, you know, I made this video because I think that this subject, luckily, is discussed enough online. This is my take on it. My 3 points, you know, ethics, cost, and side effects. And again, side effects to me is probably the #1 reason above anything, above the law, above the cost, above ethics, is just the side effects is actually the main reason, like the #1 reason not to take them, because, you know, the side effects are permanent for the most part. And permanent side effects versus temporary results doesn't necessarily seem like a good deal, okay? So I'd love to hear what you think. Again, this wasn't me trying to make a video about judging anyone that does. I'm sure people that do take steroids are gonna watch this video. I'm willing to bet. You know, I have friends that take steroids. I've known a lot of people that take steroids. It's not a judgment, and people that know me know that I'm not judging them, because like I said, I have friends that take them still to this day. And so it's not a judgment. It's more a discussion, and I wanted you to hear my position as to what I've developed within myself over the course of these years, okay? This is Jacob Adams signing off. I'd love to hear your comments. Subscribe, share this video. Peace.